T3.1. A school guidance counselor examines how many extracurricular activities students participate in and their GPA. The counselor says, the evidence indicates that the correlation between the number of activities a student participates in and his or her GPA is close to zero. Which of the following is the most appropriate conclusions? All right, so let's just start with the statement that the correlation is close to zero. All right. Now that would lead one to believe that there's a really weak pattern between these variables. Number of extracurricular activities versus GPA, right? So the scatter plot just might look something like that, okay? No pattern to it. However, it's also possible that the relationship does have a pattern, just not a linear one, right? So let me copy the axes. Right. So it's possible that the scatter plot might look something like that, okay? This would actually have a correlation close to zero. This would have a correlation close to zero, so no pattern here. We have a curved pattern here, but if you try to fit a line to it, right, the line of best fit, it's probably just going to cut right through the middle and split the difference. And so you'd have a correlation of zero for that. And then I could also see a scenario where maybe the relationship is the inverse of the last one. Right? So it looks like that. This would also have a correlation close to zero. Okay. So just knowing the correlation is close to zero doesn't really tell us a whole lot about the relationship. There's many possibilities. It could just be random scatter. It could be a curved relationship where it opens upward, or it could be a curved relationship where it opens downward. All right, let's read through the 5 choices and try to find the one that's the best. Okay. Choice A, students involved in many extracurricular activities tend to be students with poor grades. Okay. I don't know if we can say that for sure. In this scenario, certainly that would be true, but in this scenario, it wouldn't be true. Okay. So I don't think that statement is the best one. B, students with good grades tend to be students who are not involved in many extracurricular activities. Well, again, it depends. If this was the scatter plot, if this was the relationship, then that statement would be false. Students with good grades tend to be those who have kind of a medium amount of extracurricular activities. Okay. Right, C, students involved in many extracurricular activities are just as likely to get good grades as bad grades. Well, again, it's hard to say for sure. If this is the relationship here, right, then students that are involved in many activities actually tend to get good grades. If this is the relationship, then those students tend to get bad grades. So yeah, I don't think C is the best choice either. Students with good grades tend to be students who are involved in many extracurricular activities. Well, that would be true for this relationship, but would not be true for this relationship. So that statement isn't going to be true all the time. And then finally, E. No conclusion should be made based on the correlation without looking at a scatter plot of the data. And I hope I've convinced you that that's the best choice. Okay? Just knowing the correlation doesn't really tell us much about the relationship. It could be that there's no relationship, or it could be some sort of curved relationship. We just don't know which of these scatter plots it is. It might be something totally different than what I've already drawn. Okay? So a correlation close to zero doesn't really tell you a whole lot. All it means is that we can rule out that kind of scatter plot, and we can rule out that kind of scatter plot. Okay? We know there's no strong positive or strong negative association, but we don't know what the actual